The stars were quiet, too quiet. In the cold black space between galaxies, a small ship drifted damaged, bleeding smoke, and nearly out of power. Inside the ship, Captain Sarava stared at the broken control panel. Her hands were shaking. Her golden skin had cuts. Her eyes were tired from crying, but there were no more tears left. She had already sent 30 distress signals. No one answered. "We are alone," whispered First Officer Velen, standing beside her. His voice was soft, hollow. "No one is coming." "No," Sarava said, her voice weak but firm. "We try again." She pressed the button one more time and spoke into the communicator. "This is Captain Sarava of the Zerelian people. Our planet is gone. We are refugees. We seek safe passage. We beg for protection. Please, anyone, help us," the message repeated. Again and again, echoing across deep space, but deep inside, Sarava knew the truth. The galaxy had turned its back on her kind. 3 weeks ago, the Varnik invaded her planet, massive horned monsters with fire in their eyes. They burned cities. They crushed armies. They called it a cleansing. Sarava's ship was one of the last to escape. Only 300 survived: children, elders, and wounded soldiers. They had flown for days, trying to reach any nearby system. But everywhere they went, they found locked borders, empty space, or worse, threats. "No Zerelian vessels allowed. Return to your home system. You are not welcome here." Now fuel was low. Food was gone. Hope was dying. Then a sound broke the silence. Ping. The crew froze. Velen rushed to the console. His 4 fingers danced across the buttons. "It's a signal," he said, eyes wide. Someone responded. Sarava stood quickly. "Who? Where is it from?" Velen looked up, his face pale. "Human space." Everyone in the command room went. "Quiet? Humans?" Sarava said slowly. Another crew member gasped. "You mean the Deathworlders?" "Yes. Humans. The most feared species in the galaxy. Born on a world of fire, ice, storms, and beasts. A world that was marked red on all star maps. Earth, Danger Class 5, Deathworld. They had no empire, no central command, but their fleets were. Fast, powerful, and terrifying. Stories, they were violent. Unpredictable. Dangerous. One story told of a human ship that fought 10 enemy vessels and won. Another said humans once destroyed an entire pirate fleet just to save 3 cargo workers. Some called them monsters. Others called them protectors. Sarava looked at the signal again. It was a simple reply. Just 5 words. "State your purpose." Quickly, she took a deep breath. Open the channel. Velen hesitated. "Captain, are you sure? These are humans. What if they destroy us?" Sarava turned to look at the tired faces of her crew. The small Zerelian girl sitting near the wall, clutching a blanket. The wounded soldier trying not to cry from pain. The elders holding each other in silence. She had no choice. "Yes," she said. "We talk." The screen blinked to life. A human appeared, tall, dark skin, short beard, sharp eyes. He wore black armor with a red stripe. Behind him, a cold metal warship hallway. "This is Captain Reeves of the UHS Revenant," he said. His voice was calm, but strong. "Identify yourself." Sarava stood tall. Her voice didn't shake this time. "I am Captain Sarava of the Zerelian refugee vessel Hopewind. We escaped the Varnak invasion. We carry no weapons. We have civilians on board. We need help." She paused. Then added, softer, "We beg you, please protect us." Reeves was silent for a moment. The air around him felt heavy. His eyes moved across the screen, scanning the bridge. The wounded, the hungry, the broken. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He simply said, "You're entering Deathworlder territory." "I know," Sarava whispered. "Are you afraid of us?" She nodded. "Yes, but I'm more afraid of what's behind us." Another long pause. The human leaned. Back in his chair. "Send your ship specs. Prepare for boarding. If you lie, we destroy you." Then the screen turned black. Velen looked at Sarava. Was that a yes or a no? Sarava let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. It was ... Hope. Behind her, the little Zarelian. Girl smiled for the first time in days. The alien ship floated quietly beside the human warship. UHS Revenant, a massive black vessel shaped like a dagger. Its surface was covered in old scars and battle burns. It looked like it had survived 1,000 wars and wanted more. Inside the Zarelian vessel Hopewind, no one spoke. Everyone was waiting. Afraid. Suddenly clank. Metal claws from the human ship grabbed their docking hatch. Their ship trembled. "Boarding link complete," Velen whispered. "They're coming." Sarava stood straight. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't let anyone see. She wore her old command jacket, torn at the shoulder, but still proud. Door opened with a hiss. 6 humans entered, tall, armored, helmets glowing red. One stepped forward, helmet off. It was Captain Reeves. His face was hard. His eyes colder than space. He looked at the aliens like a hunter checking if prey was still breathing. Then he walked straight to the wounded child in the corner. The girl flinched. She hid her face. Reeves knelt down, gently took out a small packet from his belt. He handed it to her. "Protein bar," he said softly. "Eat it." The child slowly took it. Reeves stood, looked at Sarava. "No lies," he said. "No tricks. Or I send you all back." "Into the void." Sarava nodded. "We only seek safety." The humans moved quickly. Medical scans, security sweeps, data checks. They didn't smile. They didn't speak unless needed. But they did help. Human medics began treating the wounded. One soldier gave a blanket to an elder. Another shared water with 2 children. Still, the Zarelians watched in fear. They had heard stories, how humans could tear metal with bare hands, how one man once bit through armor just to save his friend. These were not ordinary beings. They were Deathworlders. Later, in the command room, Sarava sat across from Reeves. The lights were dim. A silent tension filled the air. "You knew who we were," Reeves said, breaking the silence. "Why risk coming to us?" Sarava looked him in the eye. "Because everyone else ran from us. You didn't." Reeves leaned back. "You want protection. That means putting humans at risk." "We know," Sarava said. "But if we don't try, we all die." Reeves didn't blink. Then he tapped a button. A hologram appeared showing 10 Varnak ships, approaching slowly from the dark edge of space. "Been followed," Reeves said coldly. "They're hunting you." Sarava gasped. "Our shields, our weapons, everything's broken." Reeves nodded. "I know." She stood. "You'll leave us now?" He stood too. But he didn't leave. He turned to his officer. "Raise shields. Prepare the cannons. Get ready for combat." The officer saluted. "Yes, Captain." Sarava stared at him. "You're helping us?" Reeves looked at her one last time. Zarelians begged the Deathworlders for protection. He paused. "And we answered." The Hopewind had been pulled fully inside the human warship's massive hangar bay. From the outside, the UHS Revenant looked like a weapon. From the inside, it felt like something older, something colder. The walls were black metal. Lights flickered with red glows. Strange machines hummed quietly, watching, scanning. The Zarelians followed human escorts through long, silent corridors. They didn't speak. They didn't know if they were walking into safety or into a cage Sarava walked beside Captain Reeves. He didn't smile. He didn't look back, but he spoke. You'll stay in Section 9. You'll get food, medical, help, clean water. But you follow our rules. No wandering. No hiding anything. Understood? Yes, Sarava said quietly. They entered a wide room, simple beds, metal floors, crates stacked in the corners. But it was warm. And for the first time in weeks, it was safe. The refugees sat quietly. Some cried. Some just stared at the walls. They didn't know how to act when the fear was gone. One small boy tugged on Sarava's coat. Captain, are the humans really monsters? Sarava looked around. A human medic was bandaging a wounded Zarelian's leg, carefully and silently. Kneeled beside the boy. I don't know, she whispered. But monsters don't usually save lives. Later that night, Velen entered the command area of the Revenant. Captain Reeves was standing alone, watching space through a thick window. Velen hesitated, then spoke. Thank you for helping us. Reeves didn't move. I didn't help you, he said. I made a decision. Velen stepped closer. Why? No one else did. Reeves turned. His eyes were dark. We're humans. We come from pain. Velen tilted his head. Reeves walked toward a nearby wall. It held old marked scars in the metal. He touched one. 2 years ago, pirates hit a medical ship. Killed everyone, even the children. No one helped them. No one came. His voice dropped to a whisper. So now we do. Elsewhere on the ship, strange things were happening. The Zarelians heard noises at night, heavy footsteps outside the doors, then silence. They saw human soldiers training in secret rooms, moving like shadows, hitting targets with perfect speed. They found strange old photos in the hallways. Humans standing with giant beasts, war banners behind them, eyes full of fire. Some began to wonder, who are these people? Not just soldiers, not just survivors. Something more. The next day, a young Zarelian named Lyra wandered too far down a hallway. She reached a sealed chamber. The door was slightly open. Inside, she saw rows of weapons and a huge metal suit standing in the dark. It looked like a human, but taller, stronger, almost like a god. Then she heard a voice behind her. You shouldn't be here. She turned and froze. A human stood in the hallway, armor half off, skin covered in scars. His eyes were empty. I was just lost. Lyra stammered. The man didn't answer. Then he reached into his pocket and gave her a glowing cube. Nightlight, he said. For the dreams. Lyra ran, but she clutched the cube tightly. Even in fear, something inside her trusted them. Back in Section 9, Sarava looked at her people. They were still afraid, but they were healing. One child played with a human ration pack, pretending it was a toy. 2 elders were laughing quietly. It was the first sound of joy in weeks. Then the lights flickered. A voice echoed through the walls. Enemy ships approaching. Varnok's signature confirmed. Sarava stood. So did Reeves. The moment was over. Now, the real test was coming. Alarms rang through the UHS Revenant. Red lights flashed. Voices echoed in the halls. The calm had ended. The enemy had arrived. Sarava rushed to the control deck. Captain Reeves was already there, standing tall, eyes fixed on the tactical screen. 3 Varnok ships, the officer said. Heavy armor, missile platforms, biocannons charging. Reeves didn't flinch. Status? All weapons ready. Shields charged. Battle stations active. Sarava stepped forward. You knew they would come? Reeves nodded. They always come. He turned to her. Get your people to the lower decks. Lock the doors. Stay quiet. If we lose, don't scream. Sarava hesitated. You're outnumbered. Reeves smiled for the first time. We like those odds. The Revenant moved, not like a ship, but like a living beast that had spun through space, dodging incoming blasts. Its cannons roared blue energy slicing through the void. The first Varnock ship opened fire-acid missiles, plasma rounds. But the Revenant twisted. It dived. It hit back hard. Sarava watched from a small window. She had seen many battles. But nothing like this. Humans didn't just fight, they hunted. Every shot was precise. Every move had meaning. It was beautiful. And terrifying. Inside the control deck, Reeves gave quiet commands. Target their engines. No escape. The Revenants. Side cannons fired. A massive blast ripped through one Varnock ship, tearing it in half. Sarava gasped. That was impossible. No, Reeves said. That was human engineering. On board the enemy ship, the Varnock screamed in rage. They sent drones, dark, insect-shaped weapons made of living metal. The drones flew toward the Revenant, like a black storm. But the humans were ready. Dozens of small automated guns, activated firing in all directions. Drones exploded mid-air, pieces scattering across the shields. Back in Section 9, the Zarelian children huddled together. They could hear the distant rumble of battle. The walls shook. Lights blinked. Fear returned. One elder whispered, "They are fighting for us." In the bridge, an officer shouted, "Second Varnock ship powering a main cannon." Reeves narrowed his eyes. Full thrust. Direct course. Charge the spinal railgun. Sarava's eyes widened. "You're flying straight at it?" "Yes." "But you'll collide," Reeves grinned. "Only if we miss." The Revenant flew too fast. The Varnock ship tried to fire, but was too slow. With a sound like thunder, the Revenant's railgun fired. Boom. A massive metal spear of energy tore through the Varnock cruiser's core. It exploded in a wave of fire and smoke, breaking apart into spinning chunks of metal. Silence. Then cheers. Only one Varnock ship remained, but it didn't fire. It didn't move. It turned and ran. Sarava stared. "They're fleeing." Reeves didn't smile this time. They always run when they realize we're not myths. He turned to his crew. "Stand down. Begin repairs. Count the damage. Count the living." Then he looked at Sarava. "You survived. For now." She took a deep breath. "We saw the stories, but we never believed." Reeves nodded slowly. "Now you do." Down below, the children looked out the window. The sky was full of fire and stars. One child whispered, "They're not monsters." Another answered, "No, they're angels with guns." The battlefield was silent. Wreckage from the Varnock ships floated in space like broken bones. The human warship U.S. Revenant was wounded, but still alive. In the lower decks, the Zarelians gathered. Some were still shaken. Others were silent, lost in thought. They had seen the truth with their own eyes. The Deathworlders didn't run. They fought. And they won. Sarava stood before her people. She looked tired, but her eyes held fire now. "No one else came for us," she said. "Only them." The crowd stayed quiet. "But we cannot just hide behind their guns forever." Velen stepped forward. "What are you saying?" Sarava looked toward the upper levels of the ship. "I want us to fight." "With them." Gasps filled the room. "We are not soldiers anymore," an elder said. "We are refugees." "We were refugees yesterday," Sarava replied. "Today, we are something more." Meanwhile, Captain Reeves was in the training bay. He moved like a shadow, his fists hitting the punching bag with deadly speed. Sweat dripped. His knuckles bled. But he didn't stop. He was alone until Sarava entered. "I want to speak," she said. Reeves didn't look back. "Talk. My people want to help. Fight beside you. Reeves paused. Why? Sarava stepped forward. Because we've seen what you do. And because it's time we stop running. Reeves slowly turned around. His eyes studied her face. You understand what that means? Sarava nodded. We risk everything. Reeves stepped closer. No, you give everything, no promises. No mercy. You bleed, or you break. She didn't blink. We are ready. Reeves stared at her, then gave a slow nod. Fine. Training starts now. And it did. The Zarelians were. Put through human drills. No soft steps. No gentle words. Just sweat, bruises, and commands. They ran. They fell. They were pushed hard. But each day they got stronger. Velen trained with weapons. Lyra, the young girl, learned hand signals from a human scout. Even the elders joined, helping. With tech and systems. One night, Sarava sat beside Reeves in the observation bay. The stars outside blinked silently. You could have left us, she said. But you didn't. Reeves replied without turning. We don't leave people behind. She looked at him. Even aliens? He nodded. Especially aliens. When they bleed like us? That week, a ceremony was held. Quiet, simple. Reeves placed a human war patch into Sarava's hand. It was shaped like a flame with a single black stripe across it. What is this? She asked. He looked at her and said, It means you've earned trust, not just words. She bowed her head. Thank you. Reeves held up his hand, and for the first time said the words. Welcome to the Deathworlders. The training would continue. The war was not over, but something had changed. The humans were no longer fighting for the Zarelians. They were now fighting with them, and that made all the difference. A month had passed. The UHS Revenant was no longer carrying just refugees. Now, it carried warriors. Zarelians trained side by side with humans. They learned to fight, to plan, to think like Deathworlders. They became faster, sharper, stronger. But the war wasn't over. The Varnak were building a slave station massive and hidden deep in a shattered moon system. Thousands of captives were inside. Zarelian survivors. Other alien races. Tortured, silenced, forgotten. Captain Reeves looked at the battle map. We hit them first. Hard. No retreat. No mercy. Sarava stood beside him wearing human armor now. Not as a guest. Not as a refugee. As an ally. We'll bring them all home, she said. The Revenant flew like a shadow into enemy space. The Zarelian ships repaired and armed followed behind. On the bridge, human and Zarelian officers stood shoulder to shoulder. The stars around them were cold, but their hearts were fire. As they reached the broken moon, alarms blared. Varnok. Defense grid online. Enemy ships launching. Reeves stood tall. All guns, all ships. Unleash hell. The battle exploded. Laser fire lit the sky. Varnak cruisers charged with brute force, but the humans were faster, smarter. Zarelian fighters moved like a storm dancing between explosions, targeting engines and shields. The Revenant's railgun roared again, breaking through the enemy's command tower in one perfect shot. Below the battlefield, on the surface of the moon, the slave station trembled. Reeves led the drop team. Zarelians followed behind, blasters ready, eyes sharp. They kicked down doors, disabled generators, and freed prisoners. One old Zarelian woman fell to her knees and cried, You came back. After all this time. Sarava lifted her up. We're not victims anymore. As the last Varno commander tried to escape, a Zarelian squad caught him. They didn't kill him. They handed him over to the humans. Reeves stood before the monster. You destroyed homes. You burned families. He leaned in close. But now you know what happens when we fight for someone else. One shot. Justice served. Hours later, the smoke cleared. The moon was silent. The prisoners were free. No Zarelian had died that day. Deathworlders had made a promise, and they kept it. Back aboard the Revenant, Sarava stood before her people, raised the patch given to her by Reeves, the black flame, and held it high. "This is not the end," she said. "It's a beginning. We don't just survive now. We protect." Cheers rose. From both humans and Zarelians. The galaxy had watched humanity with fear. Now, it would learn to respect them. Not just for their weapons, but for their honor, for their mercy, for their promise. No one stands alone. Not when humanity stands with them. The end